The News Hour at 9.
Less than 48 hours after the cowardly attack on our brave men in Handwara, today India has given a befitting reply. Hizbul Mujahideen has been given a death blow. Its commander-chief, Riyaz Naikoo, has been eliminated by a joint operation by our security forces in precision strike. Naikoo's death is a big breakthrough as he not only bled our men in uniform but also killed several innocents, brainwashed youth, infiltrated their minds with Pakistani propaganda. He claimed to be a fighter, but the irony is that he was killed while he hid in his attic like a rat. Here's a look at what transpired in one of the most successful operations in recent times.
May 5th, 4:30 p.m. Security forces get their biggest tip-off that Hizbul commander Riyaz Naikoo may visit his ailing mother at his native place. Within 30 minutes, our forces launch a massive search operation in Begpura, which goes on till the wee hours. At about 8 a.m. on May 6th, forces stomp into Naikoo's house. Our braves look in every nook and corner. Not once, not twice, but 5 times over. Yet, Naikoo remains untraceable. At about 10 a.m., our braves corner Naikoo, one of the most dreaded Hizbul commanders, hiding like a rat inside an attic. And within seconds of a fierce gun battle, Riyaz Naikoo is eliminated. With their commander dead, 3 of Naikoo's desperate aides continued firing for over 6 hours until the entire house is blown up by the Indian Army. May 6th is a proud day. One of the longest surviving terrorists in the valley has now been shot dead. And India has yet again made it clear. You bleed our men, and we will enter your homes and silence you forever. Bureau Report, Times Now.
And we have some breaking inputs on the entire operation. Times Now has learned that after getting specific intel on terror movement, 2 were cordoned off and search operations were launched, one in Sarshali and the other in Begpura, the village where Naikoo comes from. A total of 4 terrorists were eliminated, of which 2 were from Lashkar and the other 2 were Riyaz Naikoo and his associate. Nikunj Garg, our internal security editor, joins us with the details. Nikunj, what are the details of the operations that you have?
Well, Navika, this was a very critical operation, keeping in mind the fact that this is the native place of Riyaz Naikoo, and any kind of security forces movement, particularly a cordon and search operation, would certainly entail an element of advance information or advance warning to the dreaded terrorist. And in this case also, the security forces very cleverly deployed the cordon and search operation so as to ensure that the man who was holed up like a rat inside in his own house is not allowed to sneak out, because remember, the other civilians and any kind of other collateral damage would generally then is something that is portrayed against the forces as if they were out to carry some kind of mayhem. It is also very critical to note, Navika, here that this man has been giving security forces multiple times slip coming to his own house and during the same cordon and search operation. So this time, quite clearly, the forces learnt from their past experience, ensured that this cordon was not broken, and not only one, but all 4 of his associates, all 4 terrorists, Lashkar and Hijab men, were eliminated by the security forces. Critically enough, Navika, this killing was very, very important from 2 points of view. One, a clear message has gone to Pakistan that there is no need to rejoice because you have taken out certain senior commanders of Indian Army. The CEO of 21RR was killed in a dastardly attack just few hours back. You will be paid back in the same currency, the currency that you understand. Point number 2, this man had made a cult of an image for himself, and it is a message going to all the Islamist hardliners in the valley who continue to profess that the young, impressionable youth of valley should pick up guns, that if you do so, eventually this is what you're going to face: a death, a certain death from the hands of the security forces, and a black hole of a life that is not going to take you anywhere. So from that point of view, from that image busting point of view, that cult busting point of view, it was an important strike, and security forces have got 100% success in it.
Well, it's a man who had a 12 lakh bounty on his head and who had been giving the chase to our forces for 8 long years and had tried to make himself a hero of those he wanted to turn against India. From making videos of shooting all those who he called people helping India, the informants, and trying to instill fear in their heads. And we are putting out the names of people that he had liquidated. These were not because they belonged to a certain religion. They were probably from the same religion that he was. Yet, they were Indians, and that is why they were targeted. So today, Riyaz Naikoo's elimination is a new chapter in the history of India and in the history of our armed forces and police, Jammu and Kashmir police. Well, the legitimate question on the news are tonight: why is there a stunned silence from the lobby, which is often fought for 4G connectivity and normal life? Is the lobby mourning a terrorist extermination? That's the question and the debate. India avenges Handwara, coming up on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
And joining me tonight, Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, Member of Parliament and National Spokesperson of the BJP, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author, Mr. R.S.N. Singh, author, Dr. John Dayal, human rights activist, Vivek Srivastava, political analyst, Ravi Srivastava, political analyst, and Ifra Jan, columnist. And I want to ask you, Dr. John Dayal, tonight, who would you sing for? Who would you salute tonight, Dr. John Dayal? Will you shed tears for those who have not been getting 4G connectivity? The minute connectivity was restored, it actually became a useful tool for these terrorists, Dr. John Dayal. Today, will you salute our forces who stand there and fight in Kashmir rather than pointing fingers at them and the situation in Jammu and Kashmir, Dr. John Dayal?
You've heard me often enough in your... Kindly therefore hear me out. COVID.
Silence. It has always been my position that anybody who takes up arms against the Indian state pays for it. Boranwani, Maoists, Bodos, whoever that take up arms against the state, they both pay for it with their life. And that is the common factor. And this man has also paid with his life for taking up arms against the Indian state. Having said that, at a great risk today from my colleagues and others, I reiterate, the issue is not just one small terrorist. He's a small terrorist in the larger scheme of things, in the larger India. But why are people driven to taking up arms against the state? I don't think they are suicidal. They're not suicidal in the manner that depressed people or bipolar people are. They're political creatures who possibly want to live long, who want to have families, and yet they do these things. You call them anti-national, you call them silly, you call them foolish, whatever. I think this will end once you resolve that result. I thank you for listening to me.
But tonight, where's the smile on your face that we should have seen Dr. John Dayal, Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi? रोज तो कैंडल लाइट होती है, लेकिन जब हमारी फोर्सेस की इतनी बड़ी विक्ट्री होती है तो इनके दिलों में सन्नाटा क्यों छा जाता है?
Navika ji, there is nothing new in that. Those so-called champion of the intellectual establishment of the secular brigade and the leftist liberal, those their self-styled that is liberal, you will have never seen them supporting or boosting up the moral of the security forces. Even if it is required just by lip service, one sentence that we support all these, nothing. Never any event. but there are a number of events when there is a terrorist, there is so many actions, there is an accused of terrorists, from legal to judicial to political to media, so much of activities. So today's incident, though we do not want to make it political at all, but it has given two categorical conclusions. Number one, now conclusively and finally, the era of India to be considered as a soft state is. I'm not saying that the terrorism will end after this, but that India has now cannot be considered as soft state. If you will do anything, the government of India will retaliate effectively. Second thing, another blow to the ideological element of the so-called leftist and liberal, that the terrorism emerges from the illiteracy and poverty. Is this fellow illiterate? He's such a highly educated and having the enormous opportunity of living a very good, lavish life. So was the case with Burhan Wani. So was the case with all the 9/11 accused, whether it was Muhammad Atta or Khalid Sheikh. So now, in my opinion, all the leftist liberals should shun their useless logic of saying that the terrorism emerges from the poverty, non-development, uneducation, illiteracy. It is clear-cut ideological, religious fundamentalism, and we have to deal in this manner unequivocally. Then only we can cope up with these things. They should not get any moral, legal, or political support. Definitely, Government of India and our security forces is having enough capability. If they are supported by the proper moral, legal, and political unanimity in the country, they will be able to eliminate.
Ifra Jan, I want to ask you, what kind of alienation is this? Haji Ghulam Muhammad Dar, father of a sarpanch, was murdered by Naikoo. Ashik Hussain Mir, head constable, murdered by Naikoo. Nasir Ahmed, constable, kidnapped by Riyaz Naikoo. 6 migrant laborers in Kulgam killed by Naikoo. Several truck drivers that were transporting fruit from Kashmir to other parts of the country were killed by Riyaz Naikoo. Would you call these people alienated? Because most of the people who were dying were Kashmiris. What kind of alienation is this that makes a Kashmiri kill other Kashmiris?
Yeah. So, Ms. Navika, you asked a brilliant question. What kind of alienation? I would say to know what kind of alienation these people suffer, you can and you should, and the government of India should have probably talked to these people and asked them exactly why they were doing this. That is called a peace process. We saw that in Atal Bihari Vajpayee's time, when for the first
talking
time
to people who are wielding guns and killing people, you want us to go and kneel down before them and talk to them, Ifra Jan?
No.
Is that your suggestion?
No.
Should we show them our weakness so that they can kill some more and they can brainwash some more children? And make videos of people they shoot at short range. And let me put out those visuals. After the security forces eliminated these terrorists, look at the way they were actually applauding our security forces. Look at them. You want us to go and pray before them, request them to come to the conversation and dialogue table? Dr. Anand Ranganathan, those visuals.
Ma'am, you haven't allowed me to complete except for one line.
Yeah, can I, Ifra, the question's been asked of me. Thank you. Yeah, Navika, as expected, the humanizing of Riyaz Naikoo by some in the media is well underway. They see him not as a terrorist but as a maths teacher. Well, the maths teacher miscalculated. He thought the Indian army forgets and forgives. Never. Let this be a message to all those who think we will sit quiet and let Pakistan and its supporters dictate Kashmir's future. These are the very people who called Burhan Wani the son of a school teacher, who called his killing extrajudicial, who protested against the abrogation of Article 370, who were silent when for 70 years the human rights of lakhs of Dalits, Valmikis, Gurkhas, women, Sikhs, homosexuals and refugees were brutally trampled upon by the state because of 370. They have been crying since August last, saying Kashmir is no longer normal. Yes, it is not normal. Because for decades, normalcy in Kashmir meant daily attacks by stone pelters and burning of schools. It meant Pakistani and ISIS flags being unfurled. It meant hobnogging of journalists with terrorists. The Prime Minister shaking hands with a self-confessed murderer like Yasin Malik. It meant thousands attending funerals of terrorists. It meant brutal ethnic cleansing of Kashmiri Pandits. That was the normal Kashmir. I do admit, one of the success stories of the left has been to identify Kashmir as detached from India, as a separate land, so that its bubbling and ever-present communal bigotry, ethnic cleansing, terrorism, and religious fanaticism don't enter the India narrative. Well, their game is over. Let me say this once and for all. Kashmir may be a differential part of Pakistan, but it is and will remain an integral part of India. Now, how's that for a bit of maths?
Exactly, and this is coming from a Hizbul commander who was a maths teacher, who was a professional, who had good educational background. And Vivek Srivastava, how long are we going to continue to look at Kashmir in a manner that it is different from the rest of India? Why should we not see Kashmir as it is being taken by these men like Riyaz Naikoo and his accomplices, who goes to visit his mother? His mother is ailing. He goes to visit there. And what does he do in the same village? And what does he do in his state? He actually brainwashes young children.
Now
He shoots people because he can make videos and scare the others. Is that what you want to nurture in Kashmir?
Now listen to me. Now listen to me very carefully. And we had Handwara a few days back. First of all, Kashmir is an integral part of India. We all believe that Kashmir belongs to India. So there is no question of anybody being unpatriotic over here. Because that is the narrative my friend from the BJP will start. The second part is, Kashmir is not normal. The present government has mismanaged Kashmir. And you cannot arrive at a normalcy in any state with the barrel of the gun. There has to be confidence building measures for the people of the state. You have to motivate them. And when Handwara happened a few days back, there was a big question. The question was, are we fighting militants or are we fighting militancy? Shooting a few militants doesn't mean that things are going to be normalized. They will normalize when we try to address the problem of militancy in a holistic way.
Are you saying, Mr. Vivek Srivastava, that the four terrorists gunned down today, that Burhan Wani, Zakir Musa, as well as Riyaz Naikoo, who have been gunned down over the last 6 years, all of these are small achievements, mean achievements of our security forces? Are you trying to say that, Mr. Vivek Srivastava?
Yes, now let me speak. Give me 10-20 seconds. First of all, I said, do you want to fight militants or militancy? Fighting militants means the removal of individual wrong elements, but militancy still remains. And every second or third month, we have incidences where our armed forces are attacked. So you need to make a bigger strategy. You need to talk to people. You need to take the citizens of the state into confidence. You have neighbors.
While people like you go to court and ask for 4G restoration because that's all that you care about, and while you give Pulitzers to those who have citations that state, that India is a contested territory, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, is that the lesson that they are telling us? Is that the lesson that they are giving us tonight? Preaching here, telling us about Kashmir is an integral part of India, when they actually applaud those who are actually talking about Kashmir being a contested territory?
No, we never said it is contested. We never said it is contested.
No, of course. And I have, no, Vivek, please. Vivek, I've been silent. I've been silently listening to you. Can you please give me 10 seconds?
Sure.
The question's been asked of me. Thank you. Navika, I have just one question to two of your panelists, including Ms. Ifra Jan, who have been rationalizing this violence, saying, why do they pick up arms? You have to go and look at that. So I have one question. No Kashmiri has suffered more than the 5 lakh Kashmiri Pandits who were the recipient of a brutal ethnic cleansing and genocide and expulsion from the state. So should they, in your opinion, should the Kashmiri Pandits have picked up arms? It's a simple question. To Ms. Ifra Jan, should the Kashmiri Pandits have picked up arms?
I hope I'll be allowed to answer the question, Yeah, I hope I'll be allowed to answer the question. First, Mr. Anand Ranganathan talked of what we had before 370 and after 370. I would like to correct Mr. Ranganathan and ask him to read the RTI application that was sent to Home Minister, where it was said that after compared to June and July 2019,
don't be scared of the question, Ms. Zafira Jan.
Look at him. He doesn't want to answer. He doesn't want to listen. Now that I'm giving him statistics, he's scared. So I would want to request him to
don't be anti-Dalit.
Mr. Ranganathan.
Don't be anti-minorities.
Don't be scared.
Please.
Don't be scared of
Why don't you answer the question? I know you are scared.
I will answer the question. I will
Don't
answer
just
the
yak
question.
some repeated, don't parrot some lines given to you.
Yeah.
You are asked a simple question.
All right, Mr. Ranganathan.
Now, Vivek, I know you are communist by day. Please don't be communist by night as well. Yeah, spare us.
Navika Kumar, could you
Don't worry.
please let this guy
However,
stop bullying?
Well, the anchor asked me and I asked you a simple question. Why are you so scared of answering it?
Encounters.
Do you think Kashmiri Pandit should take up the gun? If you are so proud, if you are so proud of Burhan Wani taking up the gun, if you are rationalizing it, if you are rationalizing this Rizwan or whatever his name is, Naikoo taking up the gun, why don't you answer this simple question?
Mr. RSN Singh,
Why don't you answer the simple question?
Mr. RSN Singh, I want
Kashmiri
to ask you
Pandits
this
take up the
story,
gun or not?
this entire story about alienation, about why people pick up the guns, you know, every dialogue in the book has been carried out with these people, with the separatists, with everybody. In the 21st century, are we still going to go down on our knees and fold our hands कि आप गन उठाइए, हम सर झुका के आपको डायलॉग के लिए बुलाएंगे? ये कितने सालों से ये हम करते आ रहे हैं? इसका कोई असर हुआ? जो लोग आज कह रहे हैं कि वहां वैली में सिचुएशन क्या है, आप जाकर पूछिए तो आप बताइए, गिनती बताइए कि कितनी बार इनसे बात हुई है, कोई हल निकला इस मसले का?
मैम 2002 से लेकर
somebody on the panel, he's 1 minute. Somebody on the panel said that, you know, are you fighting militants or you are fighting militancy? I think we are fighting jihadis and jihadism both, right? And the second that, you know, as if this Naikoo was a, you know, one disaffected fellow. I mean, he belonged to an organization called Hizbul Mujahideen, which has its links with Jamaat-e-Islami Pakistan. They received their training within the Pakistani territory. There is a whole ecosystem operating. There are 104 foreign terrorists at the moment inside the valley. For God's sake, they are not fighting. They are not fighting for Kashmir or Kashmiriyat. They are fighting for Ummah, they are fighting for Caliphate, and they are doing jihad. And so therefore, you know, to say that, you know, somebody said, you know, education, since when has, I mean, engineering education and medical education and English education become antidote to jihad? No. The statistics of the world doesn't prove. In fact, the you know, about 70 to 80%, and this is you know, by an American institute, a survey carried out, 80% of them are all well-educated people. So don't peddle this nonsense. You know, there is an ecosystem. There are 450 waiting outside the LOC. There are 242 inside. There is a whole production, you know, 16 jihadi manufacturing, you know, units, you know, and the main ones, 3 in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and 2 in Punjab, including Jaish-e-Mohammed and Hizbul Mujahideen and Lashkar-e-Toiba, and 11 in POK. So the fact of the matter is that their I dare say this, that their umbilical to Pakistan is much stronger because of their jihadi mindset. And if you think that you have been, you know, you can wean away by all these, you know, hollow talk of humanism and no secularism, it is not going to happen. So we have to fight jihadis and jihadism both. And as far as, you know, what is your timeline, whether something happened because of Article 370 or not, I mean, that is what these, you know, perpetrators and proxies want to prove. That look, 370 facilitated jihadism, but nevertheless we are not beholden. We were not beholden to as far as far as Article 370 is concerned.
Well, let me get
and
it,
that
Dr.
is why.
Sudhanshu Trivedi.
That is why you all have
the charge has been made at you by Ifra Jan, who asks you this question: कि आपने इनसे बातचीत क्यों नहीं की? आपने इनसे इनके मसले क्यों नहीं पूछे? वाजपेयी के ज़माने में मसले पूछे थे, अब आपने पूछना बंद कर दिया है.
Please shut up, Mr. Whoever you are. I am not a jihadi. Please learn to respect your fellow panelists. As far as I am concerned, I am a constitutionalist who does not believe in violence of any kind. You should be ashamed of yourself for calling a fellow panelist a jihadi. As far as I am concerned,
now
my
the question is,
you guys used to tell us that once 370 is removed, terrorism is automatically going to go away.
In this,
then you say,
your communist,
sir, please stop being a lyncher. Please don't lynch me, sir. Please don't lynch me. Please don't lynch me here. यहाँ lynching शुरू मत कर दीजिए सर. यहाँ lynching शुरू मत कर दीजिए. You guys told us that 370 goes, terrorism is also going to go. What happened?
वो बोलने दीजिए सुधांशु त्रिवेदी जी को बोलने दीजिए मैं.
You guys told us that 370 is going to go. Yes, it's okay to call me a jihadi. It's okay to call me a jihadi.
Well. Let me get some balance on the panel. Mr. RSN Singh, while we may have different views, let us not call each other on the panel jihadis. It's not the right thing to do. While I know, even I have a different point of view from what Ifra Jan says, and I'm sure you do too. But let's not call each other jihadis. But I want to come down to the moot question that Ifra Jan had raised. And the moot question, Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, was the issue of dialogue. कि आप जाके पूछिए इनसे कि इनकी तकलीफ क्या है?
Now, as far as one thing, just I will add, then I will answer this question. She has raised the issue of the lynching. And the lynching word was very much used by so-called left and liberal.
I haven't raised the question.
Well, gentlemen, I'm interrupting you. I'm interrupting you. The men of the moment, GOC 15 Chinar Corps, Lieutenant General Raju on the phone line with us. Good evening, Lieutenant General Raju. Congratulations to you and your forces for the big victory in Jammu and Kashmir today, and you've avenged Handwara is the clarion call that is coming from across the country. Please tell us some details about the operation. How did you manage this? Yes, Lieutenant General Raju.
Hello.
Yes, Lieutenant General Raju.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, please tell me.
I said congratulations. The country salutes you tonight, Lieutenant General Raju. Your boys and yourself have got this huge victory, and India's today making a clarion call that Handwara has been avenged. How long was this operation, and where did you get the intel, and how did you finally eliminate Riyaz Naikoo?
Yeah, firstly, upfront, I would like to say that it was a very successful operation by all the security agencies who are involved in counterinsurgency operations in the valley. And it was a joint operation by the Jammu and Kashmir Police, the Army and the CRPF. And while I cannot discuss the modalities of the operation, but we had fairly accurate intelligence about the presence of Riyaz Naikoo in that area. And over a period of almost 17 to 18 hours, this operation was concluded. And I would like to say that this PAN was involved in a large number of heinous activities, of which the Jammu and Kashmir Police is already released.
We understand the timing of this liquidation was around early hours of the morning. Oh, we lost that line. We'll try and go back to that phone call. There is a meeting that's going on at the 15 Chinar Corps headquarters in Srinagar, and we will try and go across to that phone call. But yes, Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, you were making a point.
she has raised the issue why we should not talk to them. And she has also raised that at the time of Vajpayee government. Yes, of course, Modi ji has also said that we stood by the principles of the Vajpayee government. Jamhuriyat, Kashmiriyat and Insaniyat. Jamhuriyat means democracy. But those who say, लेके रहेंगे आजादी बंदूक के दम पर आजादी. Do they believe in Jamhuriyat? Second, Insaniyat. The humanity.
कश्मीर राज्य को और वहाँ के सारे नागरिकों को
अरे भाई देखिए डिस्टर्ब मत करिए मैं किसी का मैं डिस्टर्ब नहीं किया एवरीबॉडी इज स्पीकिंग ऑन स्काइप इफ वी स्पीकिंग ईच अदर किसी की आवाज नहीं जाती अपने अपने टर्न पे बोलिए विवेक जी अब दूसरी बात उन्होंने कहा साहब इंसानियत तो भाई जो लोग सेलिब्रेट करते हैं सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस के लोगों का की डेथ को वो सैनिक जो कि मजदूर और किसान के बेटे होते हैं. Is it insaniyat? Now about the Kashmiriyat, the Zakir Musa has categorically said, ये कोई कश्मीरियत की लड़ाई नहीं है, ये इस्लामी खलीफत की लड़ाई है, and all the leftist liberals kept mum. आरएसएस सिंह जी ने वही तो बोला था. ये तो सीधे सीधे इस्लामी खलीफत की लड़ाई की बात करते हैं, तो कश्मीरियत की बात कहाँ है? तो यहाँ कश्मीरियत, इंसानियत और जमहूरियत नहीं है. इंसानियत की जगह सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस की डेथ को सेलिब्रेट करने वाले हैवानियत के प्रतीक हैं.
All right, I'm going back to Lieutenant General Raju, who's joining me on the phone line. Lieutenant, bad line. I'll go back to him. But Ravi Srivastava, I want to ask you, which side would you be on tonight, Mr. Ravi Srivastava? Tonight is the night to actually talk about our security forces and their brave victory, or tonight is the time to talk about all that is wrong in Jammu and Kashmir? Well, Lieutenant General Raju on the phone line with us, and I hope, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the line doesn't drop. General Raju, at what time did you manage to eliminate Riyaz Naikoo and his accomplices this morning?
Yeah, firstly, this particular operation started in the late evening yesterday, and all the security agencies, to include the Jammu and Kashmir Police, the Army, as well as the CRPF, were at it through the night. And while the exact time cannot be disclosed, but by today in the morning, we were able to successfully neutralize Riyaz Naikoo and his accomplice.
We were told that Riyaz Naikoo was hiding in a house where there was an attic, and it was actually in the attic where he was hiding.
Yeah, you can say that because, a large number of these terrorists do, have these kind of hideouts within the houses, and we have a system in place to identify them. And it is through that system we were able to get the exact location and carry out the action required to neutralize them.
Lieutenant General Raju, for how long have you been tailing this high-value prize catch of the Hizbul Mujahideen? And when did you really get the intel that he was in the area where he was finally found by your forces?
Riyaz Naikoo, being head of the Hizbul Mujahideen, has been on our radars for a long time. And we have been getting inputs. And it's only when multiple inputs get corroborated that we're able to launch specific operations the way it was launched yesterday. And we're happy that we were able to conclude it successfully.
We understand that there were pelters who also collected after this operation was over. Was that situation brought under control fairly soon?
Yeah, I think some local population did come out, but I'm happy to say that the CRPF did an extraordinary job in controlling the situation, and we are very confident that we will be able to manage the situation in the most appropriate manner.
Were there any information calls or intel that you would have about contact of Riyaz Naikoo with his handlers on the other side of the border?
No, I think you'll have to probably pose this question to the DG Police, who is also sitting along with me. Please check if he has more information on this subject.
Well, Lieutenant General B.S. Raju, thank you very much for joining me, and I'll wait as long as you hand over the phone to our DGP of Jammu and Kashmir, Mr. Dilbag Singh, joining me on the phone line now. Mr. Dilbag Singh, such a pleasure to have you on the Newshour tonight. Congratulations to you. The country salutes you. Mr. Dilbagh Singh, please give us details of the operations. How many of your men were involved in this operation, and how long have you been tailing Riyaz Naikoo, and when did this information really get hot for you?
As General Raju said, this has been an excellent teamwork. We have been actually working on this fellow for the last over 6 months. But we were not lucky to get him in over a dozen attempts. We went very close to him, but somehow every time we were missing him. But this time around, we had a couple of inputs which got corroborated from various sources and all. And then ultimately we were able to narrow down to the place, the hideout where he was mostly living. In fact, this fellow had a number of hideouts. This is one of them, and we have already seen a couple of hideouts where he would go, and ultimately will go around the place and then not be able to locate him. But this time around, we had a couple of other sources to, sort of corroborate the information that he was in the target house. So our parties worked on it, and that area and all, which was our target area, was cordoned very well in time, and we kept the cordon whole night intact. Early morning, we got in contact with him. Firing continued for a couple of hours, and then finally, 2 of them got neutralized. So finally, the Riyaz Naikoo thinks that fellow was one of them. One of the 2 guys who was killed in this encounter.
Mr. Dilbagh Singh, this was a precision attack as we're looking at it. The precision attack, and there are timings that are coming out. Some people are saying that he was liquidated at 3 a.m. in the morning. Can you give us a sense of how many of your boys were involved, and when was Riyaz Naikoo liquidated?
So it wasn't in the morning. It was sometime in the late afternoon when it happened, because one guy got shot down little early before, I think sometime around 11:30. But this fellow was surviving for another 2-3 hours. He shifted to another room. Our operation continued for about 2 to 3 more hours. At around 2:30 or so, we were able to eliminate this guy also. So operation concluded somewhere in the afternoon. And then, the kind of situation and scenario that generally we have in that area, people got together around, and there was some stone pelting that they had to evacuate the dead bodies from the scene and bring them to the police station and do rest of the formalities. It took some more time for us to evacuate from the place. In the process, stone pelting and all, we got some injuries on our side. Our police and CRPF was managing the land order. They did an excellent job. Couple of our boys were injured, couple of civilians were also injured during the confrontation, but all of them are okay. So this guy, as you were posing your question to Raju, was a very, very notorious guy involved in so many crimes, very heinous crimes. He was active since 2012 when Jakir Musa left Hizbul Mujahideen and made his own group, Ansar Gajatul Hind. That is when he took over the command of Hizbul Mujahideen. And ever since, he was responsible for recruiting a very large number of innocent youth, taking them to the path of militancy. Many of them got killed subsequently during the encounters, and many of them got arrested. So this guy was all out to sustain militancy, to build Hizbul Mujahideen once again, to revive it. And with his, I think, killing the civilians of that area who became target of his violence, many of them who were killed at his instance, would also sigh of relief. And he was also responsible for a large number of attacks on our police and security forces. At least 3 policemen were killed by him, and number of attacks on security forces and on our other units around were carried out by him. He was also extorting money from the people of that area, the orchard owners and the farmers, even those people who grow illicit bhang and opium in that area. They were also paying money to him. He also figured in one of the cases of narco trade, a case registered in Jammu, wherein the money came to him, to one of his contacts, and he was using that money for buying weapons and enrolling people. So all those kind of notorious activities he was responsible for.
But Mr. Dilbag Singh, I want to ask you specifically, were you in possession of any intel of any touch between Riyaz Naikoo and his handlers on the other side of the border?
See, there have been instances where certain directions were coming to him as to how to go about fanning out militancy in that area. And that fellow has been making number of audio and visual tapes and issuing them in the public domain, issuing it to the social media, having a lot of objectionable content, a lot of pro-Pak and separatist content in those videos, threatening people and also asking policemen to resign, leave their jobs and all, also threatening jail staff. There was time when people in the jail used to enjoy a lot of facilities, the militants and their handlers and the separatists lodged in the jail used to get preferential treatment. When the treatment was withdrawn, he was issuing that kind of statement on behalf of JRL and other agencies, threatening jail staff that will be threatened. I have instances where those kind of communication between him and his handlers across were almost a continuous business.
How many more people would the Hizbul Mujahideen now have in the valley?
The number is not very large. In fact, over the past 4 months or so, we've been able to eliminate many of them. And now the number should be somewhere around 40 to 45, but they are staggered all over. And I think most of them are on radar and we'll be taking care of them.
One last question before I let you go, Mr. Dilbag Singh. Many people have been talking about normalcy in Jammu and Kashmir and how it is so important to have communication systems back and 4G restored in the valley. I want to ask you this pointed question. Were these terrorists using any of these communication systems in order to group themselves and send each other messages? And is that the reason why in court it was stated that Kashmir is still not ready for 4G services?
See, there are certain technical details which I'm afraid I'll not be able to share on how badly the social media platforms were being used by the Pakistan, its handlers and the people working as militants this side. There's a gross kind of misuse of the internet facility available. In fact, we've been in the trust of public giving lot many restrictions. Even today we had to shut down the net entire valley to see that it doesn't create a land order, bigger land order situation outside the particular area we were having that encounter. So there are still lot many social media platforms being put to use by Pakistan, some of them from Karachi, by ISI, by their handlers, which are provoking people, which are instigating them to resort to land order, instigating them to resort to violence. So, n number of instances are there. We've got huge data with us where the internet facility is being misused, but somehow we have to maintain a balance between the genuine use by the general public and misuse by this kind of elements who are difficult to please. So therefore, not that we don't want that kind of facility to be available to the public. It's a need. It's a today's need for everybody. But 2G has brought lot of relief to the local populace. We still would love to give 4G, but as I said, the kind of misuse that is being done at behest of Pakistan is very huge, and we still have to see that that kind of propaganda, that kind of instigation is kept under check. So maybe that for the time being we'll have to watch for some more time before we go in for more relaxation on that count. Well,
thank you very much, Mr. Dilbag Singh and Lieutenant General Raju for joining me on the News Hour. Salute you, sir, your boys, your team. And there's a round of clapping that's going on in our PCR, and I just hope that you can hear the claps, and please do convey our kudos to the entire team of the security forces involved in this operation. Thank you very much, General Dilbag Singh. I'm going back to Ifra Jan as well as Ravi Srivastav. And Ravi Srivastav, I want to ask you, all those who talk about liberty first, should there be life protection first, or should we give in to communication systems that actually help Pakistan? I want to ask you that question.
Say, first of all, let me tell you that a terrorist killed is terrorist killed. Absolutely perfect job done by the army, by the police and everyone. But my issue is what the public of Kashmir and what the Indian public has achieved in last 9 months. More than 80 attacks have taken place and so many officers' lives have been lost. And in this also, what revenge have we taken? We lost our decorated colonel of the army, the major of the army, and another...
Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, 30 seconds. Respond to that question by Ravi Srivastava.
Ordinary terrorist.
I just want to say very, very clearly, it is very unfortunate. Prior to that, so many killings used to be there without any effective reaction from the Indian side. Now, Mr. Dilbagh Singh has given a very clear categorical statement to you, sir. If there is a riot, less than 1% of the people are rioters, but 99% people suffer. So the people should be angry towards the rioters. So in the same manner, after the statement of Mr. Dilbagh Singh, to be very clear that the people are deprived of 4G services because this type of element use and misuse and abuse that services. So you should be more angry towards these type of subversive elements, depriving the Jammu Kashmir from 4G services rather than the government, sir.
Absolutely. While we lament, while we salute our martyrs who laid down their lives, the fact of the matter is, today is a big day. Yes, we've paid a huge price for elimination of Riyaz Naikoo. But ladies and gentlemen, it's that direction that matters, which is to remove terrorists, because terrorists don't have a religion. Their religion is only to make India bleed by 1,000 cuts. And that is something our forces won't allow India to get into. Thank you very much to my panelists, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on the News Hour tonight. Padmaja Joshi up next with News Hour Agenda. Good night from me.